Okay, we're back. All right. All right. We're at the kind of the main portion of this video, or the beginning of the main portion. Is the preface, and then, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to stop today. That was, yeah. I think, yeah. What is rhetoric? That's going to be the next one. That's yeah, yeah, yeah. The preface is enough today. All right. So yeah, I have a script, but I figure this as I'm going along, and it's funny where when I've talked with people in comments about, oh yeah, go encourage people, motivate people to go do their own YouTube channel, their own YouTube experience, and find a theme that you like and post videos on it, and just kind of work with what you like. If you want to do a YouTube channel and you think you have something to offer, start making videos on that topic. And depending on what you have, if you're going to narrate it, you should have a script prepared. Right? A script prepared. And me, I'm a writer, so I write, and so just naturally, this was how I planned it out from the beginning: is I would write out a script, and then I would talk about it and stick to the script as much as possible. Oh, good golly, stick to the script as much as freaking possible, because you're a better writer than speaker. Okay, so that's the guiding principle there. So, that said, don't veer off topic, because you're likely to get lost getting back, and then you won't remember what the hell you were talking about. So as I've been, doing the videos, I've been learning about this experience. So as I've been talking with people about, motivating them and writing a script, uh, there's a lot of, I think, misconceptions on the other end of what it is, and I've had to kind of walk people through what I mean by a script. And it depends more on the type of person that you are, of what type of script that you would have. And I explain to people that you're not locked into word for word what the script says, depending on what the material is. Although sometimes you would want to read word for word what it is, depending on what you're doing. So there's one particular discussion I had that I remember about someone. We're going back and forth. Someone in the comments of, I forget where exactly it was, but this is just symbolic of this kind of discussion with people that I've had on the technical side of starting a channel. Because at that point I've already kind of put some stuff out there, and I knew, I've done videos. I know this shit. So I've always been motivational to people of just, start putting videos out if you got something to say, right? You got some content. So the person in the comments that I was having this discussion with was saying that, oh, you don't want to be locked into, script, and, you want it to free flow. And I said, look, when you're in front of the camera and you're doing all of your own technical stuff, you got to hit the buttons and make sure everything's working. And even if you don't have a complicated system, right? Even the most basic system like I got, which is the OBS system, a lot of it's done in software, and it's perfect for me and Alex. And, like, it's the probably least complicated of all of it that you can get. I still forget stuff. I forget to turn the microphone back on, and I have experience doing this, right? So, like, you sort of have to, the reason for having a script and sticking to it is to make as little work in amongst all the other stuff of self-producing and self-promoting and self-making my own content. I've talked about this before, in doing this, is that the technical limitations, like, yeah, you have a lot of possibilities with the tech, on the tech side, with the hardware and the software, and solve very fast and blah blah blah. But it starts getting more and more complicated. You can't use it, and even some of the basic functions that you liked in the earlier version no longer work. So. So the point is about the script that I was making is that I need to stick to the script as much as possible, for those aspiring and those who are, who are here, in borderline tech and want to get into making your own videos and stuff. that a script is a, it can be anything from a skeleton, or, and just bullet points. If you have pictures to show or something, and, and you can kind of wing it on the spot, that's great, Um, but considering making the script as part of the description, it's like that's sort of one of the reasons why I started doing this as a public service to you all, because I'm a better writer than speaker, and I know I have a presence, I have. Oh, and not even getting into the preface here. I'm still on a tangent. I'm still introducing this, So, but I have, for those who are new, those who don't know this, I have, decades of experience in tech, in working with, the machinery, in working with, the hands-on amplifiers and filters and all of this, hands-on, installing car stereos, all this stuff, decades, all kinds of, building computers, technical experience, all of that. Um, I have engineering classes. I have technical writing skills. I have a lot of writing training, just all sorts of writing, working on the newspaper, writing. I love writing. From when I first took expository writing 101, and he showed us what an essay in the form, and like, oh fuck, oh man, oh yeah, this is different. I just like, oh, this is why you pay money. Like, okay, it's not just public education where you, crappy stuff you write on. No, this was like legitimately having fun with writing and journalism. Like, wow, there wasn't a journalism in high school. Like, oh wow, like this is just, so. And then on top of it, I have experience with the studio and making videos and doing all this technical stuff, and I knew what hardware to get, and oh, good God. So, I should be doing videos. There really shouldn't be anything else that, I should be doing. There's a love for it. So, for me, it just was natural to have a script, to write a script and then work with the script. Because honest to goodness, like if I go off on a tangent, I've said this, I feel like a broken record, but if you're new here, you wouldn't have heard it, and if when I go off script, I can't remember where the pathway was, and I'm lost. And so I I like writing. I prefer writing. I can erase it. I can do it over. I can redo it. I can redo it. Can't do that with speaking. Can't do that really with video. Just it's once it's there, it's there. Oh crap. I can delete some stuff. Like, all right, I can take it out in editing, but oh, that's a pain in the ass. I've talked about what a pain in the ass that is. Yeah, I'm sure you don't want to hear about Adobe Premiere Pro, you know, uh, issues and what Adobe Premiere Pro woes. No, I'm sure you don't. That's not a joke, but we can, call that alliterative. Uh, it wasn't a joke, but it was funny. All right. Okay. All right. So, uh, you know, I I like talking with you guys about making these videos. Some of you, this isn't for everyone. These videos aren't for everyone. This particular one is dedicated to Jackie and Bradley too. Bradley tried to cheer me up. I'm a curmudgeon grump on the phone. But I appreciate people checking in on me, making sure I'm okay. Working through my not being okay edness, uh, in what fashion that is. Um, and yeah, so thank you for being here. Uh, Wacky Jackie, Mental Grace, Bradley, and Swanee and Pam. Thank you for being here and making it more tolerable, if you will. Uh, I'll just say this before I get into the hopefully the last thing before I get into the material is that for some people it's enough to have meaning here in Earth because it seems to be so little meaning and meaningless, right? So, and for some people they need, just having a little bit of purpose is enough, right? Just knowing that you helped one person is enough to keep making videos, right? I need to say this. Uh, And that it should be enough that I have 10, that legitimately 10 of you, right? I get over 100 views. Uh, there's a legitimately 10 of you that who are, at the point of wanting to hear this and needing, like some of this needing, right? Uh, and, you know, uh, especially there are legitimate questions of stuff that people freak out over, and it's like, oh, calm down because it's not that bad. And let me explain to you what it really means, and it's bad, but not that bad, like that kind of thing. People need someone that knows what they're looking at to maybe, kind of assure them it's not the end of the world. And if it was, it'd be a lot worse. And so the 10 of you, so there's that expression that, well, if reach one person, well, I reach at least one person, I have 10, and that kind of keeps me going on. But even then, still having a meaning and a purpose is not enough if there's not someone to share it with, right? So what happens is that you need to have someone special who knows what to say to motivate you properly, right? And inspire. So people can give you purpose, people can give you a motivation, but not everyone can inspire, right? What to do with the purpose and the meaning. Like if you have a purpose, if a person has a skill, large skill, big skill in an area, they may not necessarily know what to do with that, right? They have a meaning, they have a skill, they know they have a skill, but they don't know how to apply it somewhere. So the inspiration comes in helping someone to apply that skill, that ability somewhere in a useful fashion where it can return the energy, the love back to that person, right? From what they do, right? Gardening is one way I do that, okay? But there's other things as well. And so this is doing these videos, this video in particular. Uh, you know, Jackie says she's happy to hear anything I have to say. She likes the sound of my voice and my smile. Like, all right, so I make sure to give her that because she is maybe my biggest fan, one of, my sister from another mister. So, I remember her when I do these, right? So just the motivation to be here to do this, something that's very fucking technical, highly technical, just and not give up hope that people can't understand it because, oh, hey, remember, you said there's 10. Well, you're right, you could quit the videos for one person, yeah, I help one person or whatever, big deal, but, oh, no offense if you're that one, but, like, no, you have 10. There's 10 people. There's more than that. Um, yeah, and like just she said some things to me that I'm not going to say here in this format, but just as a comparison, we'll just say between me and another channel. We'll just say, just gave me a little happy vibe thought, and so it's like, all right, some people they just know what to say at the right time at the right place, and so just this is why I dedicate to this to Jackie, who she's got my back in my heart, like if it wasn't for her I wouldn't be doing this, um simply. uh so all right, so I think that's I can remember word an hour. All right, so that's definitely enough. So let me get into this, which isn't that long, but I actually have to read it. All right. Thank you for being here. This is another absurdly long writing. Yes, with the video to match as well. Thank you for sticking with it. Right? I'm working through a series of information under the heading of pseudoscience. This discussion is addressing a common myth that, quote, our frequencies are rising. I'd like to discuss where this comes from and why it's so insidious for people to believe this big myth. And I may not be able to say where it came from, but like, this is something that has been on the back burner for me for a while that I've needed to discuss. And so it's, I'm not going to say where it comes from so much, but like this is uh, maybe the progression of that phrase. Like, is that the best way to put it? I think. All right. Okay. Um, all will be revealed. Prime source creator always sends a messenger. There's a few messengers who dedicated messengers who haven't given up the message, given up on the message, who are still plugging along. In fact, many are sent. Many are called, but few are chosen. You know, not many, not as many make the cut as compete for the cut. Put it that way. Many are called, few are chosen. The pathway is narrow and treacherous and strung with snares, barbs, and pitfalls. Navigating through the vocabulary is part of the problem here. Everything I say here is for you to accept or not. It's up to you. It either rings true with you or it's simply not for you. Okay, true. I ask for donations, right? Okay. If you feel you see fit, please donate to the PayPal, but I don't always put it up all over the place. I don't put my PayPal information out there that often, but I do put the Patreon information out there. And so I I kind of would prefer people go to the Patreon, even though Patreon takes money out. It's the point that, like I would like you to support me in that fashion, but either or, the PayPal is out there. So I would prefer Patreon because you get something and but it's up to you. So read what I present through your own discernment. So it's up for you to figure out what for your own discernment, whether it rings true or not. All right, ask your guides for clarity. I do. Ask to be revealed the message that source, the guides, the ancestors would have for you. It's important to mention that I meditate and I ask for guidance regularly from my guides. Because I'm generally otherwise unable to function. This is I'm at this point. I'll just be honest. For the 10 of you that care, I'm just without the guidance of God and the source, the avatar, the pure light avatar of Prime Source, and the guides, the angels. Without their guidance, I wouldn't be able to function here. And even with that, I'm sort of hardly able to function. So I'm here to help give their message to the best I can. And that's what gives me purpose and meaning. It's not just having meaning and purpose, but it's, having someone to share it with that inspires you to want to go on. And I just humbly submit that. It's not enough to have a meaning and a purpose. For some people it is, right? It's fine, right? It's nothing against anyone, but for some of us, I'm making this distinction for some of us, right? Like, yeah, I got plenty of meaning. I know the meaning. I got talent, skill. And I don't freaking care, right? I don't freaking care. I'm tired. I'm run down. Having that person who inspires you to keep going, right? Yeah, you're tired, but like you provide something that no one else does. And that's not just that you not that you should provide something valuable, but something that no one else does. All right, yeah. I know that for myself, right? But that's just my ego speaking. It is, right? Until that other person tells me, no, you really do have something to offer here. And so just keep going, right? It may not be ego in that sense that people believe. It may be a damaged ego that works the opposite way. Like you have a magnifying glass, you can have a telescope, right? It works. It's a lens. It's a lens. The lens can work one way and it can work the other way. Yeah, it's ego. It's your damaged mangled, crappy ego. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what that is. Let someone help you. Yeah, it's your ego, and not none to be proud of either. I've written I've written a preliminary companion essay on the problem with the word frequency. So somewhere in this mess the word, talking about frequency. This is going to discuss the phrase rising frequencies. All right. So I got it. It's all of it, right? I'm the slow cooking chef, the deep dive chef when it comes to cooking together a narrative on all this stuff of what it is, right? I go deep. I go and I go below crushed depth in this stuff, so you don't have to. I'm fine with that. There's less distraction below the crushed depth of that for me. The submariners of you will understand that. So the word frequency and the word rising, the phrase rising frequency, the word frequency and the phrase rising frequency, right? The concept, the language, the concept, the meaning, all of that. What exactly is it? With all the words I'm able to conjure up in to my magical abilities, what does this here mean? And why is it such an insidious thing? Why am I writing a book on the frickin' book and the phrase rising frequencies, right? So that's, where we're at. And I'm still working on this. I'm still working through this with people as I have discussion and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. All right. So this is a long piece as it is. I'm not done writing. I'm posting it, even though it's too long. So I want you to read it. It's a video. That's why I'm writing this here. And it's ongoing. The phrase is out there. People talk about it. Rising frequencies. No, they're not. Don't say that to me. I've been going through the myriad of phrases. Oh yeah, this is under the misuse. I've had this discussion with Alex, right? And the blackboard in my head, there's I figure everything out. Like in my head, logically, there's a blackboard or, like a chalkboard or a whiteboard or something. There's, like a board where I figure everything out. Right? It's the best analogy I can give. So there's a board, like a bulletin board, a chalkboard or blackboard, in my head of a few categories when it comes to words, right? A few categories to make everything work so that I can understand what's happening, because it's all confusing, right? There's a category of meaningless words that basically outside the context, some context, the word is meaningless. It's broken for me, right? And then there are this phrase of the misused, misappropriated, that it's not just broken for me, it's for everyone, right? This phrase, the two phrases, really, two words, the word and the phrase are broken. The frequency and the rising frequencies are broken. For all intents and purposes, they're broken, right? So that's what warrants the need for a book, is to explain all of the brokenness and all the broken parts and all the levels of what the fuckery of the the rising frequencies is, especially when used for the purposes of directing the mass of human ascension, quote unquote, so-called human ascension. This is one more phrase that's getting examined. So there's a phrase of, meaningless words, and then there's a phrase of this category of phrases that for everyone, not just for me, that for everyone is broken, right? So for me, words that are broken, right? Just me personally, everyone else seems to be fine with them. And then there's this kind of next category that for everyone, the word is mangled, misappropriated, misused. And even you go in the broadest possible definition of the words, it's still been stretched beyond its useful meaning. And that's one of the chapters that I have. The heading, the title of one of the chapters is, frequency, a word so badly mangled it's not useful anymore. So that's essentially why I'm doing this. is to, to give you the full totality of the brokenness of the phrase, and hopefully figure out from there what's still useful, if you will. I know. So last paragraph, rising frequencies is one of the most overused yet poorly understood concept. The phrase rising frequencies is a misnomer at best, right? And a ruse at its worst. All right. So this is where we're starting to get into is the ruse, the red herring, the misappropriation, the shuck and jive, is it just an innocent misunderstanding of the word, or has it been misappropriated for nefarious means? I don't know, right? Well, we're gonna kind of figure this out. The phrase is there simply to confound people, not to be useful or helpful in any way. I contend this. I humbly submit to you for your acceptance. If you feel otherwise, please make sure to comment. Also, like, share, comment, and subscribe. So, in essence, this phrase is rhetoric. So, both phrases, frequency, frequencies, and rising frequency, rising frequencies. Right. So that's all. That is all. That's all, and that's all. All right. So I'm going to play some music, because it's actually time for my meeting right now. And I have just enough. It's perfect. It's just enough time for me to, kind of play some music, kind of wrap this up, get my shoes on, get my doohickey, my grip all gripped, and then head over to the meeting. It's one of my home groups. All right. So, without any further chatter from me, 1441. I love it.